I don't socialize because I'm not really that social.
What's good, everybody? What's good? It's your boy, Cardinal Bud Crawford, or E.S. Red, if that's what you won't call me. And we are back for another one. Alright, y'all. New topic. Should Terence Crawford and Errol Spence have a plan B passing of the torch with Manny Pacquiao? Alright, y'all. So, what should be the backup plan for these two fighters? Who should be the fight they try to put together if this fight falls apart before November? Or before September, I should say. I think September would be the cutoff date for when they should have this fight pretty much put together and ready to go. But if it's not ready to go by September, I would say both of these guys need to be looking toward a backup plan.
Everybody wants to see the best fight the best. If you can't make Crawford and Spence, why not make Crawford and Boots or Spence and Boots?
Now, I know everybody probably feels like Pacquiao's done. Pacquiao's no longer relevant in the boxing world. Pacquiao had a horrible showing versus Ugas. And that really depends on who you ask, who you're a fan of, if you actually watch the fight. Because I feel like this. You know, these guys are trying to put together a super fight at the moment. They're looking for super fight numbers. They're looking for something to push their purses for their fights up into those high double digits, perhaps even the triple digits, if they can build the fight up that high, you know, similar to a Maypac. And I think the only way of achieving that is you have to get in the ring with a superstar fighter. I think the flaw, the fatal flaw in both of these guys' career is that there was never a passing of the torch.
We don't want to see y'all move up. Everybody wants to see the best fight the best. Oh, that's the reason why boxing losing a lot of fans now.
There was never a passing of the torch. And in boxing, usually the passing of the torch fights are what boosts your revenue up. It's what puts you in front of millions and millions of people, because when you do those passing of the torch fights, normally it's a come-up fighter versus an established fighter with a huge fan base already. And I think because neither Terence Crawford or Errol Spence had that passing of the torch fight, or, you know, neither one of them faced a credible fighter from the last generation of boxing. And what I mean by credible fighter is I mean a superstar fighter, not just a Kell Brook. Yes, he was a superstar in the UK, but by the time they caught him, his career was pretty much flatlined. 154 had demolished Kell Brook by that point. So either one of those guys fighting him really didn't matter, because both of them were overmatched. You know, both of them overmatched Kell Brook at that point. Now, we know that Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao in the last generation were the pinnacle of boxing. They were the highest paid two guys. Neither one of these guys faced off with Mayweather or Pacquiao. You know, neither one of those names got matched up with Errol Spence or Terence Bud Crawford. And I think at the end of the day, that is going to hurt both of these fighters. I think at the end of the day, because there was no huge name for them. Well, there was huge names for them to match up with, but since they didn't actually match up with those huge names, and they chose to fight lower caliber opponents, or their promoters chose to put them in with lower caliber opponents, or opponents who used to be superstars, but like Kell Brook, their careers kind of fell apart at the end. I think you're having this problem now where it's difficult for someone to come in and want to front the money for both of them to fight each other, because it's basically an unknown of what this fight's going to do. Now, the only known we know is that Errol Spence can sell pay-per-views at a nice clip. Terence Crawford can't really sell pay-per-views at a nice clip. Errol Spence can fill a Texas stadium. Terence Crawford can't fill a Texas stadium. Now, if you took Errol Spence out of Texas and you put Spence versus Crawford on television, how is that fight actually going to do? And I think that is the problem that we're running into, is that the people putting up the money want some type of guarantee that they're going to get a recoup on their money.
Everybody keep putting on these rinky-dink fights. People want to see good fights. We already know it's politics, but I just think that they need to make these fights happen, man.
You know, because they didn't go with those passing of the torch fights, I feel like the fan base that they should have, and the fact that they should be superstar fighters at this point, because they're not even superstar fighters at this point. In the boxing world, yes, they're superstar fighters, but Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather had transcended the boxing world. They were no longer just boxing superstars. They were global superstars. Mayweather was globally hated. Pacquiao was globally loved. And unfortunately for these two fighters, neither one of them have that accolade to hang their hat on. Neither one of them have global love or global hate. They're loved. One of them's loved within the boxing world. I think one of them's hated within the boxing world. I think Terence Crawford is kind of despised within the boxing world because of his attitude and his poor choice of picking opponents. And I think Errol Spence is beloved in the boxing world because of the complete opposite of that, is that he challenged himself and he's won all these titles, so he's gaining a lot of love within the boxing world.
People think they deserve more than what they're supposed to get. This person might think he deserves 50-50. What did you do to deserve 50-50?
But what would make him a global superstar? I think for both of these guys, They need to be looking into trying to secure that Pacquiao fight. Errol Spence almost had it. He had it in his hand and then he backed out. Listen, I know that the excuse for that was the eye injury. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. You know, I think it was perfect timing, and I think Errol Spence ducked that fight. I think it was too easy to pull that excuse out of the hat, and that shouldn't have affected that fight. That eye injury shouldn't have affected that fight. It should have been delayed, not canceled. But, you know, here's the thing. We have heard from Manny Pacquiao a couple of months ago say he's willing to negotiate if this fight falls apart. He's looking for another fight. Only thing is he wants it to be a superstar fight. I don't think Manny Pacquiao has a problem with passing the torch. I don't think Manny Pacquiao has a problem with losing. I think Manny Pacquiao doesn't want to go out on that Ugas note, and I think Manny Pacquiao probably feels like he was set up with that Ugas fight. Now, he decided to take it, and because of the situation he had going on in the Philippines, I think he didn't want to, you know, Manny Pacquiao is one of those type of guys who doesn't want to disappoint boxing fans, his fans, and the Filipino people. So instead of just canceling or rescheduling, I think he just went along with what PBC threw him. And I think, you know, there might have been some contractual issues there as well. Maybe he still had one fight left on his contract that he was obligated to give PBC, and he was trying to get that over with.
What house did you pack to deserve 50-50? That's all about money, man.
So now that he has that over with, and he's not the president of the Philippines, I think now is the perfect time for that passing of the torch fight. I think now is the perfect time for one of these guys to become a global superstar, and the only name left, because Mayweather is no longer doing professional bouts, is Manny Pacquiao. There's only one name out there that you can become a global superstar off of, and that name is Manny Pacquiao. So I think both of these guys, I think it's in both of their interests to be at least attempting to negotiate something with Pacquiao, just, if nothing else, to use that name to build their fight, to build Spence versus Crawford as a global fight and not just a big fight within the boxing world, to do numbers upwards of 1 million buys instead of 300,000 buys on pay-per-view. To have, you know, hundreds of thousands of people trying to come to this fight and wanting this fight, to have the whole world wanting to view Spence versus Crawford. And there's only one way of achieving that. You either have to face up with a Pacquiao or you have to face up with a Mayweather. There are no other names out there that is going to put you on that global stage. Boots would be lovely. Boots would be a heck of a fight for either one of those guys, but Boots doesn't make you global. Boots doesn't push you out to the universal boxing world. Boots is still a small name at this point and would only make you locally famous within the boxing world.
You can put asses in them seats. You know what I mean? Then, you know, you're going to get the top dollar.
You know, it'll be segments of the boxing world who's really going to want to tune in and check in for that fight. Pacquiao will make you a global icon. Beating Manny Pacquiao will make you a global superstar. Now, I don't want to see Pacquiao get beat. I want to see Pacquiao get some good competition. I think Pacquiao still has what it takes to beat both of these guys, given the right circumstances. But we would actually have to get that fight for one of these guys to prove that. And I think it's the perfect opportunity now that we're seeing that money is the problem. Whether it's one guy wanting too much or another guy overpricing himself, you could definitely get rid of that problem by matching up with the best and the biggest and brightest star out there at the moment, and it's still Manny Pacquiao. You know, even being out of the sport for all that time, then coming back and fighting Ugas, Manny Pacquiao was still a humongous name. Manny Pacquiao is probably still one of the biggest names in boxing. And why not build your career off of that? Why not go after that? Keith Thurman doesn't get you that global icon status. Boots Ennis doesn't get you that global icon status. Sandonius doesn't get you that global icon status. Virgil Ortiz doesn't get you that global icon status. You need an established icon to match up with, to make you an icon and to pass you the torch. Let me know what y'all think about that down in the comment section below. Should Spence and Crawford, or Spence or Crawford, be going after a past generation icon superstar of the boxing world in Floyd Mayweather or Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao to make themselves more sellable to the global boxing community? Hit that like button for me. Share. Subscribe. Tell a friend. Holler at me on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTubes. But you're more than likely to get a response on the tube. So holler at me over there if you want a response. I think I'm done rambling for now. Yeah, I'm done rambling. It's your boy, Cardinal Bud Crawford, or E.S. Red, if that's what you want to call me. And we are 9.
7th grade, I saw my first nigga sack a reaper.